Okay, so we've been talking about degree plans and we've defined the core curriculum with its 6 core objectives and its 9 core component areas. But how many credit hours are we racking up taking all these classes? So in total, from the entire core curriculum with those 9 core component areas, you're racking up 42 credit hours. In other words, if you are following the Associate of Arts or the Associate of Sciences degree plan, 42 of your credit hours will come from the core curriculum. Your other hours will come from your major, from your program, obviously the area that you're specializing in. Now, most STC associate's degrees are 60 credit hours, sometimes up to 62 credit hours. So your core accounts for 42. If you take 60 minus 42, that gives you the number of credit hours you're taking in your major or your program, which happens to be 18 to 20 credit hours. Now let's get back to an actual degree plan, and again we're going to look at sociology as an example. So when you look at this degree plan, one of the first things that you'll notice is that some of the classes are listed very specifically for you, and you can tell that because there's a course number there. A course number is made up of 4 letters and 4 numbers, and it identifies the course. So on this degree plan, you can actually see course numbers. We're just going to go in a line: History 1301, English 1301, Sociology 1301, History 1302, English 1302, Sociology 2319, and we could go on and on. And what that means is that you must take any of these courses that have been listed and identified by that course number. You do not have options, okay? Those are required, and they meet either part of the core curriculum requirements or they meet your degree, your majors requirements. So for example, we already know that History 1301 or History 2327 or History 1302 or History 2328, those fulfill the core requirement for 6 hours of American history. We also know that English 1301 and English 1302, those are going to be the ones that fulfill your core requirement for 6 hours of communication. And we also know that Government 2305 and Government 2306, those fulfill the core requirement for the 6 hours in government and political science. But you'll notice that not all sections of this degree plan list a specific course number, those 4 letters and 4 numbers. And instead, you'll see in blue the core component area and this note that it's from the core curriculum. So let's look at these. So the ones in yellow. So we can see the social and behavioral science elective from the core, the component area option from the core, the creative arts elective from the core, the language, philosophy, and culture elective from the core, the mathematics elective from the core, the life and physical science elective from the core. You actually see that twice. And then the component area option from the core. So this is where you go to those lists of all the core component areas. You look at those lists and you choose the one you want. And all you do is you go back and you look at those options for the core component area that we went over before. You can also do that in the actual degree plan by clicking on that blue hyperlink that you see, and what appears is the list of classes you can choose from. So for example, let's go to the creative arts elective where it says from the core, and if you click on that blue hyperlink, it's going to give you the list of classes that you can choose from. All right. Now, sometimes your own major, your own program will tell you a recommendation, or when you look up your transfer institution, it also gives you a recommendation. So here in sociology, if I'm looking for, let's go over here to the math elective from the core. If I'm looking for what math elective to take and I click on the blue hyperlink, it gives me a list of options. Theoretically, I could pick from them. But your program, as you can see right there on the degree plan, is recommending, just go underneath, that you take Math 1414. Right? So sometimes it's our actual STC degree plan that will recommend it, and sometimes it's a good idea to check with your transfer institution to see what they recommend you should have. And I'll show you more about that in a little bit. Now, lastly, you will notice other classes on your degree plan that we have not yet accounted for. So Sociology 1301, Intro to Soc, Sociology 2319, Minority Studies, Sociology 2301, Marriage and the Family, and one Sociology elective from the field of study. Those 18 hours come from your major, from your program. So again, 42 hours from the core, and then either 18 to 20 hours from your major. It's going to result in 60 to 62 hours for your Associate of Arts or your Associate of Science degree. Now, when you have options at STC in your core component area or in your major, you have a list of options to pick from, right? And sometimes our own STC degree plans will give you a recommendation about which course or courses to take, but please be aware that you should also be thinking and planning ahead concerning the transfer institution you might be attending, because when it comes to options, you might want to go one route or another depending on what that college that you're transferring to says. So let me show you an example from my department, education, and I know there's a lot going on there on the screen, right? So here on the screen, you see the 2019-20 degree plans for STC, but for transferring to UTRGV on the left and transferring to Texas A&M University Kingsville on the right. And all the ones that I have placed a star next to means that you have options that you can pick from. Okay, now while at STC you have a long list of options, UTRGV or TAMUC might want you to have selected a certain option. So we're going to look at an education major's 8 hours of life and physical sciences, and you have to ask, well, what do I take? Well, you take different classes depending on where you plan on transferring to. So at STC, look over here on the top right. You see the options that you have from the core. But at UTRGV, which is over here on the left, right, they want their education majors to have the physical science 1417. But TAMUC, if you look across, allows either physical science 1417 or physical sciences 1401. So if you happen to take physical science 1401 and you decide to go to UTRGV, it wouldn't meet their requirements, okay? So also at UTRGV, if you come down here, they want you to take Geology 1403. But TAMUC wants you to take Biology 1409 or Biology 1407. Again, you don't want to take Geology if you're going to go to Texas A&M University Kingsville, and you don't want to take Biology, right, if you're going to go to UTRGV. So the point is, not only do you need to follow STC's degree plan, but you need to be aware and planning ahead, even though you're not yet transferring to those institutions. It's what you do here at STC affects that. So be prepared, be aware, and plan ahead. So, Dr. Bean, what is the point of all this madness? The point is that not only do you follow STC's degree plan, but you start researching now what school you're transferring to and their requirements. In other words, what you do here at STC impacts you when you transfer. So the more you do your research about what the transfer institution requires, the more in the know you will be to take the right classes here at STC. Now, how do you find out about these degree plans at the transfer institution? Well, you can visit the transfer institution's website and access your degree plan there. You can also meet with an academic advisor or a transfer admissions counselor at your desired transfer institution. I also want you to keep in mind that we have another office at STC that is called the Transfer Center University Relations Transfer and Articulation Center, and they can definitely help put you in contact with the right folks at your transfer school. We even have something called Transfer Track, and these are scheduled visits of representatives from colleges across Texas that actually come to STC. They come to our campus and they meet with you either in person or virtually through Zoom and such. They meet with our students to help you plan and ensure that you're doing everything to have a seamless transition from STC to that new school. But the bottom line is you need to plan ahead. Now, we just looked at the degree plan for sociology. We could have looked at any degree plan, but you'll remember that we talked about course numbers, right? And a course number is made up of 4 letters, which identify the subject, and 4 numbers, which indicate the very specific class. So you see some generic examples there on your screen. But these course numbers actually tell us something. If we focus on the number part of the course number themselves, there's actually some data there because that first number tells us something and the second one does too. So the first number in the actual part of the course number that's a number tells us the class ranking, whether it is a developmental or non-credit course, freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior level. So you can see right there, if it starts with a 0, it's developmental or non-credit. A 1 is a freshman, a 2 is a sophomore, a 3 is a junior, and a 4 is a senior. Now, generally, you take courses as you go along in your programs, freshman to senior, but the number doesn't necessarily mean you can't take a sophomore level class before a freshman level course, unless there is a prereq. Okay, so remember I said that you could change around the ordering, the timing of your classes unless there is a prerequisite. Now, by the way, I did make up some of the classes that you see on the screen. STC is a 2-year institution. We don't offer 3,000 and 4,000 level classes here at STC, but you will have these when you transfer to a 4-year university. Now, the second number tells us how many credit hour the course is, and as long as it doesn't start with a 0, because that's a developmental or a non-credit based course, the second number always tells you the credit hours. So the engineering is 1, the kinesiology is 2 credits, history 3 credits, math 4 credits, and the pharmacy class 5 credits. The developmental classes that start with a 0, they work a little differently, so it's best to go ahead and look up their number of credit hours in the catalog. Sometimes they count, sometimes they don't, but they do not follow that rule. I just taught you about the second number. It has to be an academic course. Okay, so what have we talked about? We've defined what a degree plan is and identified its components, including the core curriculum, the core objectives, the core component areas, and the major program requirements. We know that the core curriculum makes up 42 credit hours, whereas our major, our program, encompasses somewhere between 18 and 20 hours, which add up to 60 to 62 hours for our Associate of Arts or our Associate of Science degrees. And we understand that course numbers, as indicated on the degree plan, are made up of 4 letters and 4 numbers, and those numbers tell us 2 additional pieces of information: the class rank and the number of credit hours. So we just have one last piece of the puzzle we need to be successful in navigating our degree plans, and that puzzle piece is a tool called DegreeWorks. So yes, we have an amazing tool called DegreeWorks at STC that's going to help you in knowing what classes to take for your major and also for monitoring your progress towards graduation. So what exactly is DegreeWorks? The definition's on the screen. It is a comprehensive, easy-to-use, web-based academic advising and degree audit tool that helps you as a student successfully navigate curriculum requirements. So obviously this week we are going to have an assignment tied to DegreeWorks. There is nothing better than direct hands-on experience after all, so you can learn about your degree plan and DegreeWorks. Now, I will also be sharing some of STC's video tutorials concerning DegreeWorks with you. But please know that this tool is here to help you. It's here to help you navigate efficiently and effectively through your degree plan and get to the ultimate destination, which of course is graduation. And now that you understand how the degree plan is put together with the core curriculum, the core objectives, the core component areas, and your major and program requirements, you're going to be super skilled in planning your educational journey here at STC and hopefully beyond if you transfer.